Hello students, so today we're going to talk about how to change out the wire or install wire for our machines, and this process will work for either the Millers or the Lincolns. The process will be the same, and so I have on my machine right now in my booth, it's a dual shield, and so we're going to start with some some flux core, some GMAW gas metal arc welding. And so we have some L56 wire here that we're going to install on our machine. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously make sure our machine is turned on. We're going to go through the check process, make sure that our cables are good for our ground. We're going to make sure that our stick electrode is not connected. Coming from the top of the unit here, there is a cable that looks something like this. We're going to plug that into the positive lug, because we're going to be running DCEP, direct current electrode positive. That is what provides the electrical current to the gun or to the power unit here. Okay. Then we're also going to come down here to our selector mode, and we're going to set it on CV wire. Okay. The stuff that I have on there now is known as inner shield because it already has a shielding, not a shielding gas, but it has a flux already on there. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our gun, and we're going to take our MIG pliers, and we're going to cut the tip of the wire so that it's nice and clean. And then you're going to take your gas nozzle and you're going to remove it from the gun. And this is just a habit that I have. Inside there, you're going to see that is full of slag and stuff like this. This is a copper gas nozzle, and so it'll clean up very easy. And just a habit that I have, I go ahead and clean this up while I have this off. And you'll see that it cleans up very nice. That slag will stop or inhibit the flow of gas from your gas nozzle. You're going to set this someplace so that you know where it's at so you can have it for later. You're going to remove the contact tip. All right, I'm going to have a box set out so that you can put this contact tip in it. You're not going to use the same contact tip. Okay, I'm going to put this right over here. Do not put the other contact tip on there. Now, if you leave this looped nice and big, you can set it right back here. All right. I'm a little chintzy on saving the wire. I know there's some places that aren't. Go ahead and open up your machine. Up here, you're going to have a set of rollers. Right here, you've got a tension bar. Remove that tension bar, open up your rollers, and start rolling your wire back. Now, you want to be careful because as that wire is coming out, if you let it get out too far, it will create a rat's nest. You can see I've got my hand here on the back of the wire, on the back of the machine, letting the wire run through it. Okay, now the wire just came through and I've got a firm grip on it. I'm going to bring the wire out. On the side of the spool here, there's some holes. I'm going to take this wire, I'm going to poke it through one of those holes and simply bend it over. On the side of your machine is a keeper, is a spacer with a little spring-mounted tension. Just pull that off. Grab the spool, slide it off. You can set it on top of your ladder here. Step down. And that spool is done. Grab the next spool. You'll notice a couple things. The wire has to come from the bottom of the spool on these machines. Different machines are different. You want to pay attention especially if it has a spool of wire on it. Some spools, some machines come from the top, ours come from the bottom. All right, so you want to set this up so that your wire is coming from the bottom. Also, there's a little guide right here on the machine. You'll see that this guide, there's a little post that this will fit into that'll help spool the wire as it comes off. I'm going to walk back up my ladder, try not to hit my head, and set this back on, set it on my post, take my little keeper, lock it in place. Now, before I take my wire off of here, on my machine there are some rollers. Okay? On the Lincolns, there's a spacer between the two rollers that have two okay, this right here, and you have to unthread these and take it off so that you can get the wire through there. And you have to take that off to get to the rollers. The rollers are just a matter of taking the little 3-point deal there and turning them clockwise. And you turn them clockwise, you'll align the holes. Okay. And you see those slots right there. On one side you see it says 3.5. On the other side it says 0.045. Okay. When you're doing GMAW, the gas metal arc, and you can also look on the side of your wire. You can look on the side of your wire. This one has it scratched off. This one has it scratched off. Generally, you could look on the side of your wire, and it will tell you the size of the wire. Typically, your dual shield, your FCAW flux core is 4.5. The stuff that we're putting on is 3.5. So I want to make sure that when I put that on, that 3.5 is facing to me. I want to make sure that 3.5 is facing towards me. Okay? If you look real close, there's two different sizes of lines. Okay, so I want the 3.5 facing to me as I'm looking at the machine. All right. So I'm going to set my roller back on, and there's two rollers, one on top, one on bottom. I'm going to take my keeper and turn it counterclockwise so that it's locked in place. And I'm going to do the same thing with the top one. Turn it counterclockwise. Sometimes these gloves are not as good as I want them to be, so I'm going to take this one off so I can get a little bit better grip. Slide it off, flip it around so it says 3.5 facing towards me. Slide it back on. Now I'm going to put my keeper back in place, and this just sets on those posts. And again, hand tight, finger tight is all they need to be. Okay, now we're going to pull this around. We're going to untangle the wire from here, from where it's wrapped into the side here. And we're going to hold on to it. And I'm going to pull it out here, and I'm going to cut it right there to where, and then I'm going to push it slide it into the back of the machine, and slide it right into the slot in the back of the machine. and push it in. And then if you need to, you can climb up here on top and just watch it slide into, and you'll feel it slide into the cable here. Once it's slid into the cable, you can let go of it, slide your roller down, push your keeper up. Now, here's one of the things that I that I do like about the Lincolns that the Millers don't have. This has a knob on it. Next to this knob, you'll see this when you get into the booth. There's a little sticker here that says GMAW, FCAW, and everything else, and it kind of tells you where you need to adjust your knob depending on the process. So when we're doing GMAW, this needs to be adjusted down pretty tight, down to about a 5 or a 6. So I'm going to adjust this down to about right there. All right. Now, this knob right up here controls the wire speed, how fast that spool's going to turn. I don't want to sit here all day and wait, so I'm going to crank it up all the way. And I still have to wait a little bit. And you kind of want to watch your spool and make sure that it's not doing anything crazy. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. But we're still not done yet. Remember I told you that you needed to take your contact tip to the bin and get your to put your contact tip away. While you're at that bin, you're going to pick up another contact tip. On these contact tips, there is a size, and if you look very, very close, right there, I don't know if you can read it or not, there's a number stamped on the bottom. That probably won't focus. There's a number stamped on the bottom of that contact tip. Okay, there's a number stamped right on the bottom of that contact tip, and that number is a .035. So depending on the size wire that you're using, make sure if we're doing gas metal arc, GMAW, that you're using a .35 contact tip. And you slide that contact tip on there, take your clean gas nozzle, and you make sure that you're not sliding your wire through one of the ports. You slide it on, you thread it on handy, okay? Twist it till it stops. Here's a trick you need to learn. You'll notice your MIG wires have a flat side and a concave side. Okay? You take the concave side, you put it up against your gas nozzle, you cut it. That is about all the stick out that you need for your MIG welding, for your wire feed welding. And that is how you change out the wire. Obviously, if you don't have any wire on there, then you wouldn't have to worry about taking anything off. Okay? And you want to be careful whenever you set your gun down that you don't hit that trigger, because if you hit the trigger, I don't know if you can see this spool or not. If you set it down on the trigger, this is what happens. The spool continues to run, and then you've got all of this wire sticking out. Not only that, if you're close to where the ground is, then you will arc out against the ground. Okay, your gun becomes live as soon as you hit that trigger. All right, it's not live now because I haven't hit the trigger, but once you hit the trigger, the gun becomes live. Okay, all right. So that's how you change out the wire on these machines. Again, the process will work for either of the machines, either the Lincoln or the Miller. The process is the same. I'll see you in the booth. I'm out.